بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على الأتمان الأكملان على خير خلق الله نبينا وإمامنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. But let's get started, inshallah, with review and revision of that what we mentioned yesterday. Not last night, but yesterday. Where's Brother Fatah? Please remind us of yesterday's class. What did we discuss? What did we talk about?
Differences of opinion and how they classify the hadith.
Differences of opinion. What are some of the reasons or some of the realities regarding the ulama of hadith differing over hadiths? With regards to the authenticity of the hadith, and also with regards to the meaning of the hadith and the fiqh of the hadith. Tayyib? Jazakallahu khairan. What else did we explain yesterday? That's the general topic. What else did we talk about yesterday, guys?
What makes a hadith authentic?
What makes a hadith authentic? Good. Ahsant. What else did we mention yesterday? What else did we discuss in yesterday's class? With the right hand, Khadr.
Sorry.
Tfadal.
The different ways hadith can be transmitted.
Different ways of transmission of hadith. Tayyib. Khairan, inshallah. What else did we mention? Tfadal, ya akhi.
The different groups of ulama, like the ulama of hadith, ulama of
The different types of scholars in Islam. The reality is that ulama in Islam have different fields. Different fields. All of them are not in one field. And within one field there are levels as well. And errors and periods as well. Ulama of tafsir, ulama of fiqh, ulama of usul, ulama of the Arabic language. Naam. And some ulama master more than one science. Tayyib. Jazakallahu khairan. What else did we mention? Hold The conditions for the hadith to be accepted. Tayyib. What else did we talk about, guys?
The great need of intelligence for understanding fiqh.
The great need of intelligence for understanding hadith. Tayyib. Many other things we mentioned, explained. Hold
knowledge we need before we can make ijtihad.
The knowledge that is needed, the conditions of al-ijtihad. Very good. Tfadal.
A different mindset for people from different parts of the world.
People differ naturally because of where they come from, their age, the planet, the environment has an effect on you. It's hot, it's cold, it's very barren, dry land, has an effect on you without a question. Tayyib. Jazakallahu khairan. What else? Fadal.
Knowing your place and respecting responsibility.
Knowing your place, being humble, not transgressing the boundaries, thinking lightly of yourself but deeply about others. To think lightly of yourself but deeply about others. Those who preceded you in knowledge. Tayyib, make an excuse for them. Maybe something that they know that you don't know. Khair inshallah. What else? Fadal akhi. Emptying your cup. What does that mean? Empty the cup. Don't be biased. Go into the situation with the blindfold on. I don't know what's the ruling, but I want to find out. And I'm only going to follow the results of my research. And I'm not going to go in there thinking I know it's haram, but let me prove it against you. No. Empty your cup. This is one of the manifestations and one of the meanings of emptying the cup, which is a very important one. Iyaka wa an ta'taqida qabla an tastadil. Never have an aqidah before you seek dalil. Seek dalil, then have aqidah. What you believe, what you think. Tayyib, khairan inshallah. Very good. What else did we discuss yesterday?
The difference between following the safest opinion versus the strongest opinion.
There's a difference between ittiba' al-ahwat wa ittiba' al-arshad. The safest view does not always mean the view that's proven to be the most factual view. Alright, something else that we mentioned? What about the differences of the people with regards to their levels of independence or their levels of following? Someone who's mujtahid does not behave like someone who is muqallid. Someone who's muqallid doesn't behave like someone who is mujtahid. Whack at that. Those who are in the middle. Alright? Tayyib. Khairan inshallah. What else?
The different generations and scholars and how they differ.
Different generations of scholars. The ulama of the 3rd century, the golden era. They're not like the ulama of the 8th century. Without any disrespect to any century. But, umirna an nunazzil an-nasa manazilahum. We've been commanded to give the people their proper status. What did the Prophet ﷺ say to the people when Sa'd ibn Mu'adh came? He says, "Qumu ila sayyidikum." Stand up and meet your master, meet your sayyid, meet your chieftain. Sayyid al-Ansar. Tayyib, people have status. Someone who's older, someone who's more learned, wahakadha. Tayyib, a senior is not treated like a what? A junior. And there's no disrespect to the junior. But the senior is the what? Is the senior. Khairan inshallah. What else did we talk about yesterday? Fadal.
Coming to common ground.
Coming to common ground. Let's deal with the things that we agree on first. Before we get to the things of which we what? Differ and disagree. So there are conditions of a hadith being accepted which all of the ulama generally agree upon. So let's start off with that. Tayyib, khairan inshallah. What else do we say?
How a fiqh would change the ruling of hadith.
How fiqh has an effect on how you look at the hadiths, and how the hadiths obviously have a clear impact on the actual fiqh. Tayyib. And we mentioned many other benefits as well. Alright, so bid'in ta'ala, now I need 4 volunteers, please. 4 brothers. 4 brothers. 4 brothers inshallah to volunteer. 4 of them. Please come up. Fatah. Please come up, make sure you state your name to everyone. Come up here. Yeah, please. I need one more volunteer, inshallah. Sorry, please tell everyone your name, starting with the right.
Hanif. My name is Hanif.
My name is Rudy.
Rudy?
Fatah.
Fatah. We need one more volunteer. Come on, Khadir. And tell them your name again.
My name, I don't need to.
Have to. Alright, so we have 4 brothers here, right? Hanif, I need you to get your pen and your pad, please. Your pen and your pad. Alright? Alright, now step a little bit away from them, please, Hanif. You step there, good. Jazakallah khairan. Alright. Khadir, you're going to listen to me very carefully, inshallah, okay? Tayyib? Very carefully, alright? Let's make a real life example of this to understand something. Okay, so you ready? Tight. Alright, so you listening? Okay. Steep is the way to mastery. Steep is the way to mastery. Now you tell it to brother Fatah. Fatah, you tell it to Rudy. You tell it to brother Hanif. Hanif, you write it down in your book. Now everyone listen again. Everyone pay close attention. Are you ready? What did I do the first time? I what? I read. I'm going to put my book down. I'm going to tell you directly. Steep is the way to mastery. Now when you're going to tell brother Fatah, you're not just going to say the quote anymore, but you're now going to say, reported to me, Sheikh Muneer. Now you're going to tell brother Rudy, from brother Khadir, from brother Muneer. I can't hear you. No one can hear you. We need everyone to hear you.
He's nervous.
You're going to say, brother Khadir told me that Sheikh Muneer said, steep is the way to mastery. Everyone pay attention? Already. You see it already, right? Tight. Brother Rudy. Now you're going to tell Hanif. Bismillah, say loud, please.
I heard from Brother Fatah, who heard from Brother Khidir, who heard from Sheikh Muneer, that steep is the way to mastery.
Right, now you're going to write that down with a full chain of narration. Full chain of narration. Right, now. So pay close attention. Excuse me. All right, so everyone pay attention, right? It says here, steep is the way to mastery. Steep is the way to being a master of anything. Meaning it's a lot of climbing that you got to do. A lot of climbing. It takes a long time for you to master something. Years in. All right. So, Khadir. Now, you guys stay sitting. Khadir, you sit down right there. You guys stay standing up. Hanif, you done writing it down yet? All right. Now, everyone listen here. Listen carefully, all right? I'm talking to everyone now. Everyone. Steep is the way to mastery. Now stand back up, Khadir. Now you're going to report to Brother Fatah, but in a different way. Let me see if you're smart enough to figure out how you're going to say it to him.
We heard Mufti announce in the class.
La hadathana.
Haddathana.
You're going to say, Muhammad ibn Muneer reported to us.
Muhammad bin Muneer reported to us.
Stop, pause the tape. If I just told you by yourself, you would say hadathani. But now everyone is in the majlis, hadathana. He reported to us that, Fadl. Reported to us Muhammad ibn Muneer.
Muhammad bin Muneer reported to us that steep is the way to mastery.
You're going to say, Khidr told me that, blah, blah, blah.
Sheikh Muneer told, mentioned in the class,
Reported to them. Everyone understand this now? Now listen guys, everyone's in one room. We're in one room. They're standing less than a foot apart from each other. And you can already see that there's what? Glitches. Don't understand this? Did he say this or did he say that? And I'm going to explain to you why these meticulous points are so important. It's not petty. Fadda. Yalla. Let's go, Fatah. You got to say it loud. And you can't teach him. That's a major problem. And the sciences of hadith is called a talqeen, in which a person accepts the narration from somebody else. Yeah, he said it like this. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. No. Kana yatalaqan. They would say this about narrators of hadith. Kana yatalaqan. He was spoon-fed information. I can't really remember. Yeah, the Sheikh said such. Oh yeah, that's right. And your source is wrong. He could be a liar, he could be weak or whatever, and I just accept it. And that's not how I originally heard it. Fadl.
mentioned in the class. To the class, in the class, that steep is the way to mastery.
I heard from Brother Fatah, who heard from Brother Khidir, that Sheikh Muneer mentioned in a class that steep is the way to mastery.
All right, Tayyib. Now, Rudy, mashallah, you're good naturally. Alhamdulillah. He's good. Good al-hadith. Blood, inshallah. Huh? Bi-idhnillah. All right, guys. So far we have how many things here? We have an isnad, and then we have a metin. The isnad is who? Who's in the isnad from the crowd? You guys don't answer the question. Who's the isnad? And who isn't in the isnad? Who's in the isnad? Just answer the question that I asked. Nothing else. Nope. Look, how'd you go from Khidr to Rudy? Everyone understand it? He went from what? Khidr to Rudy. You're already missing the condition of an authentic hadith. It's broken. Rudy never met Khidr. La, now you're going backwards. Khidr, I didn't say who from. I said who is the isnad? Khidr, Fatah, Rudy. That's it. Only 3 people in the chain of narration. But how many people are up here though? How many of us are there?
4.
No, it's 5 of us. But the isnad is only what? 3. 3 people. So, hypothetically speaking, pay close attention. I would be the starting point. The Prophet ﷺ said. Alright? The Prophet ﷺ said, right? For example. And from another aspect, I would be the back of the isnad. I would be Bukhari, who's narrating from teacher, Sahabi, Prophet. And Hanif will be the Prophet ﷺ. The isnad is sometimes a one-way street, sometimes a two-way street. Everyone understand this or not? So, hypothetically speaking, Hanif is Imam al-Bukhari. And he's going to read your book now. What does your book say?
The last one, right? I heard from, narrated to me from Brother Rudy, who heard from Brother Fatah, who heard from Brother Sheikh.
That Muhammad Muneer said, ... So the isnad is only 3 people. I am the metin, the wording of the hadith. Steep is the way to mastery. What does that mean? What do we benefit from that? That's another field of hadith, the sharh and the fiqh of hadith, which is then with the science now. And Hanif is Imam Malik or Imam Ahmed. He has the kitab, the book. So when you read inside the Bukhari, Haddathana, reported to me, that Ibn Mas'ud, Muhadd ibn Jabal, Zayd ibn Thabit said, the Prophet said, ... So in this isnad here, how many conditions are there for it to be accepted? Quickly guys, based off what I told you. 3 conditions. Condition number 1. Meaning that Khidr did what? He heard from me. Now Khidr, you leave. You got to go use the bathroom. Go. Get up. Go use the bathroom. He goes to his car. He has to forget his cell phone or something. Go. Come back in a couple seconds, right? Come back in a minute. Okay, so listen guys, I want to teach you a lesson, a quote. Steep is the way to mastery. Steep is the way of being a master of something. Then Brother Khidr is going to come back in a second. When he comes back, Khidr is going to get it from one of you guys. And he never was in the class at the time in which I did what? Reported it. But when he comes back, he's going to report directly from me. Did he not hear from me before? Is he not my student? Yes. But this specific narration, he what? He didn't hear. Let's make another quote from my book here. There's another quote. When Khidr is going to come back, this quote says what? It says questions. Don't let him come back in yet. Questions. Don't cook rice. Questions don't cook rice. A teacher told his student that once. You keep asking questions. We're not going to eat lunch if you keep asking me questions. Questions don't cook rice. Don't ask questions, just do. All right? So everyone, I'm telling you a statement. Questions don't cook rice. All right? Questions don't cook rice. Now, go get Brother Khidr, tell him to come back in. Quickly. All right, so he comes back into the majlis. Now, like I said, you take a seat there. And the first question is going to say, what did Sheikh Muneer tell you guys? What did he tell you? Ask your partner. What did I miss? What did I miss? Questions don't cook rice. What does that mean? We didn't get into that yet. But that's what I said. Questions don't cook rice. Now you get back up here, please. Okay. Now, you relate to your student, Brother Fatah. You're going to say what? What are you going to say? What are you going to tell Brother Fatah?
I heard from Afiq.
Nope, you're not going to say that. Because now you put an extra person in the chain of narration. But why not report it directly from me? He's younger than you. You're better than him. You're a senior student. You don't have to mention him. Just report it from me. It's a waste of time. Why from Brother Afiq? Let's just go right into it. So tell Brother Fatah what you got. You got to say it loud for everyone to hear. Nope. Now you're a liar. You never heard me say anything. When I gave the narration, you were doing what? Getting your car keys. So you didn't hear it from me. You're going to say that what? Said. And that's a vague statement. It doesn't prove that he heard it, nor does it prove that he what? didn't hear it. Listen carefully. If he says Sheikh Muneer said, that does not prove that he heard it from me. Nor does it negate that he what? Heard it from me. It's in the middle. It's vague. Everyone understand this or not? It doesn't prove anything. He said it. Everybody understand this? Everybody with me or not? And Tumana. It doesn't prove that he heard it from my mouth. Nor does it prove that he what? Didn't hear it from my mouth. So tell Brother Fatah quickly. Pass it on. Gotta be say it loud so everyone can hear. This is very important. Yalla, keep going.
I heard from Brother Fatah, who heard from Brother Khidir, that Muhammad bin Muneer said that questions don't cook rice.
All right, perfect. Done. So, Brother Khadir, the first condition for him to be, or the first condition for this hadith to be accepted is that there has to be what? Ittisal as-sanad, continuous chain of narration. Is the chain continuous or not? Yes or no? It is not. Why isn't it? He didn't get it from me. He doesn't have to hear it from me. Come, Khadir, look. Look at my book.
Right.
He doesn't have to hear it from me. Whether he heard it from me, whether he read it from me, I gave him my book. I give you ijazah in my book. This is now my book. Al-Muhim, he didn't directly what? Get it. No, not here. Get. You may not have to hear it. I may show you. It's my handwriting. This is my book. He says, this is Muneer's book. It's in my possession. He gave it to me before he died. Al-Muhim, he didn't get the narration directly from me, but he got it from someone else. And he didn't mention him because he didn't feel a need to. Why do I have to mention him? Or he's younger than me. I don't want to mention him. It's going to mess up my isnad. My ijazah looks too long now. Al-Muhim is that there is a what? A breakage in the isnad. There's a breakage in the isnad. But the first narration, steep is the way to mastery. He directly what? Heard it from him, from me. Or read it in my book. He got it from me. And then he told it to Brother Fatah directly. And Brother Fatah told to Brother Rudy what? Directly. Once it reaches Rudy, it's done. The hadith is finished. Hanif is now put it in his book. And now he's going to recopy his book. He prints his book. He ships his book worldwide. And that is the Sahih Bukhari. It's in circulation now. Khalas. So the first condition for the hadith to be authentic is that the chain must be what? Continuous. And it cannot be no breakage. Condition number 2, briefly guys, is that every narrator has to be what? Meaning, and adal includes Islam. It's hypothetical. It's hypothetical. Well, if one of the persons in the chain was a Buddhist, or a Christian, or a Jew, or an atheist, or agnostic, the hadith is now unacceptable. Everyone has to be Muslim. Everyone has to be sane. Let's say Brother Rudy was insane. We cannot take his narration anymore, even though he heard it directly from Brother Fatah. Or Brother Fatah was Majnoon. Or let's say he was too young. Or he had a problem with this sin. He did it in public. He was a sinner. He wasn't pious. He wasn't righteous. He's practicing open bid'ah, calling to it. Forcing the people to practice innovation. We can't take their narrations. So the second condition is that the narrators must be pious. They have to be Muslim. They have to be of age. They have to be mentally sane. And they must be religious and practicing of the deen. Everyone understand this? Condition number 3 is that they have to be what?
Retentive memory.
They have to be able to retain it. And if they don't retain it, then at least, Khidr, you did what? Write it down. Alright, so it says steep to the way of mastery. Now let's say Khidr said, Muhammad ibn Muneer, he told us that it takes a long time to be a scholar in Islam. It takes a long time to be a scholar in Islam. Did I say those words? I did not. But he's reporting it from what? Meaning. And then Brother Afiq, he comes, you stand up, and he reports to his student. Tell us your name, please. Ahmed. He tells Ahmed that Muhammad ibn Muneer said what? Steep
is the way to mastery.
And then he passes it on, passes it on. Then a third brother comes up. Please, you, come. He comes up. Because don't forget, I told everyone in the majlis. Your name, Akhi? Andy? Ali, tell you. Ali, he narrates from me that I said, you have to be in Medina for at least 5 years to give a khutbah. You have to be in Medina for at least 5 years to give a good khutbah. So they narrated 3 statements from me. All 3 statements are what? Similar. Steep is the way to mastery. Takes many years to this. You have to be in Medina, so on and so forth. It's bil ma'na. It's not word for word. But the first narration of Khidr is the best narration because he reported it exactly as I said it. And the other two students, they reported it in the meaning of what I said. The meaning of what I said. But Khidr said exactly what I said. Everyone understand this? What are the Jazakallah khair, Brother Ali. Brother Afiq, you can take a seat. Alright, so Khidr, you have to report it exactly. And if you do report it both meaning, you can't mess it up. So let's say you narrated for me and you said, let's say you said what? Steep is the way to mastery. Sheikh Muneer, one day he went to go visit a scholar in Medina and there was a lot of steps that he had to walk up. He became really tired. When he got there, he was thirsty and the Sheikh didn't give him any water to drink. Steep is the way to what? He's distorted my what? My speech. I didn't say that, and that's not what I meant. And the reason why he distorted it is because he narrated it what? Sloppily. He narrated it what? Sloppily. Fatah. He hears it from Khidr correctly, but your memory is poor. You can't remember anything. You have to write down every single thing. You use your GPS for all direction. You don't remember anything. He can't remember anything. And then he reports to Brother Rudy. Rudy is trustworthy, strong memory. But in the middle is a what? Is a weak narrator. Or another example, give me your notes. You wrote it down. He has his notes here. And let's say he went home and he has children. He has kids and he just put his notebooks down. And he went, used the restroom, makes salah, eat, and your daughter comes and rips up your paper. Or your son scribbles in your book. And then you come later on, yeah, right, Sheikh Muneer said such and such. Or let's say in your household is someone that doesn't like you. Someone that doesn't like that you're trying to practice the sunnah. He's on some other type of Islam. And he added things into your book. He played with your handwriting. And then you're heedless and naive. You pick up your book. Muhammad Muneer said that such and such and such and such. You're no longer trustworthy because you didn't preserve your notes. If you don't have a good memory, that's fine. But you have to have good what? Notes. You have to preserve your notes and keep them from being distorted or lost or tainted and played with. Are we understand this? So these are the three main conditions for a hadith to be acceptable. For a hadith to be what? Acceptable. The ulama of hadith, they make an extra condition. And it says intifa ash-shududhi wal-illa. Is that the hadith cannot have a hidden glitch. Who remembers the hidden glitch? Who remembers the hidden glitch? Give me your book, Hanif, please, quickly. This is just a review session, guys. We have a total different topic today. Where's your narration at? His narration says what?
Because I don't think you can read.
Oh, well, that's another problem. Al-Muhim. Who remembers the glitch? Read the narration to us quickly, please.
Brother Rudy heard from Brother Fatah, who heard...
No, Brother Rudy told me.
Brother Rudy told...
Brother Rudy did what?
Told me.
Precision. Have to have what? Precision. Brother Rudy told me that, Fatah told him that, Khidr told him that, Muhammad Muneer said, steep is the way to... And then, narration number 2 in your book, in your Sahih Bukhari. وَحَدَّثَنِي رُودِي قَالَ أَخْبَرني فتح قَالَ سَمِعْتُ الْخِدْر يَقُولُ قَالَ Muhammad ibn Muneer, questions don't cook rice. That's all narrations from your teacher, from his, etc. What's the glitch of that narration? Who remembers it? What's the glitch? Not from you, not from you, not from you.
It's not continuous.
It's not muttasil. Why not?
Because he did not get it directly from you.
How do you know this? Unless you've done research was above and beyond. And that is the ulama of hadith al-Nuqad. That's your Abu Hatim and your Ahmed and your Ibn al-Madini of the 3rd century. The ulama that never sufficed themselves with Zawahir al-Sanad. The Sanad, stand back Hanif, you come over here. The chain of narration is clean or not? Rudy, Fatah, Khidr. We all know them. They're Muslim. They're trustworthy. They're all narrators of hadith. The chain is what? Looks good. Sahih, right? But it's not sahih. And that's because Khidr didn't hear this narration from me. How do we know this? Through corroboration, through investigation, through looking and digging and unearthing. And we realize that when he gave this narration, he was outside. Like I mentioned last night, when I said that I was not in Putrajaya. I was in Kuala Lumpur. You didn't hear that from me, sister. You got that from somebody else. And it can only be done through severe what? Investigation. So now we find that the one that Khidr really heard it from was brother Afiq. And Afiq is a liar. Kadhab. He's a liar. He makes up narrations. This narration is now what? Of no use. Of no use. But if you rush into it and take the apparently outward chain of narration, you say it's what? Sahih, Hasan, La Bas. And this is exactly what happened between the ulama of the early centuries and those of the later centuries. There's a huge difference. What they knew and their ethic and the concept of hadith, which was affected by usul al-fiqh and ilm al-kalam and madhahib and this aqidah and that aqidah and al-falsafa. The early ulama, they didn't have that. So the early ulama, they investigated and they dug deep to find out where was the missing person or who was weak or etc. And it's an example of an illah, a hidden defect, a hidden glitch. Khidr is trustworthy, there's no doubt about that. But he didn't hear it directly from me. And there's someone who's missing, and that's brother Afiq, who isn't trustworthy. Everyone understand this? And there are many other manifestations of the report. We explained them. The Prophet married Maymuna in the state of Ihram. The Prophet married Maymuna and he with the metin. Alright? Jazakumullah khairan. Very good. Shukran. Thank you very much. And all those examples are hypothetical. Brother Khidr is trustworthy, inshallah. Fatah is trustworthy, inshallah. And Brother Rudy, mashallah, Hafiz. Thiqah. Strong. Tayyib. Alright. So inshallah ta'ala, brothers, let's get into the topic of the etiquette of differing. The etiquette of differing. In brief, because we explained some of this yesterday as well. The first etiquette of differing is, can you please put that in there? The first concept is for us to just understand the position of the ulama with regards to khilaf. And I think from that which sheds light upon this is the famous narration in which Uthman radiallahu anhu was the Khalifa of the Muslims. He was the leader of the Muslims. And we know during the Khilafah, the time of Uthman radiallahu anhu, there were many things that happened. And many things that changed. And from those things that many people began to criticize Uthman. And they began to talk about him and find fault in him. And talk about his leadership. And to speak about how he was guiding and leading the Muslims. So there were people that were beginning to make gossip and spread rumors about him. So, in the time of Uthman radiallahu anhu ardah, we know that the Muslim leader was the leader. He led them in battle. He led them in Hajj. He wasn't just like a president or a prime minister or a king who's just in a castle wall. He was actually the leader. He did things in front of the people. And from that which he had to do was Hajj. So he led the Muslims in Hajj. And obviously, you know, on Hajj, there are Muslims from all over the place. There are practicing Muslims, Muslims who are this, Muslims who are that, Bedouins, nomads, not the people that are from the people of ilm and sunnah, well known. So many people, they came and they made Hajj with the leader. And Uthman radiallahu anhu, when he was at Mina and he was leading the people in the salah, he did something which caused people to become angry and upset. Something which was controversial, something which was problematic. And that was, he made Salat al-Dhuhr and or Salat al-Asr with a full amount of raka'at. Instead of making 2, he made 4. Instead of making qasr, he made itmam. He made the full amount of raka'ah. The Prophet ﷺ, Abu Bakr, Umar, etc., whenever they were leaders on Hajj, they only made what? 2. But Uthman chose to make 4. So some of the people, they took this, what Uthman did, back to a scholar from the Sahaba who was Abdullah bin Mas'ud. Abdullah bin Mas'ud, who had a great deal of knowledge. He wasn't as virtuous and as senior as Uthman, but he was a great scholar. And they told him what happened and he was there, so on and so forth. And they say that Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he said that this is something serious, this is something bad. It's not good. Why would he do this? And his companions, they asked Ibn Mas'ud why he made 4 rak'at behind Uthman. Why didn't you just make 2 Or why didn't you say anything to him? Or whatever the case may be. And Ibn Mas'ud, he made that famous coin statement, إِنَّ الْخِلَافَ شَرٌ كُلَّهُ. He says, all differing is evil. Differing is bad. Differing and bickering is not good. That's why I did what I did. Was it right what he did? No. Was it the correct practice of the sunnah? It was not. But I do not want to differ with the leader in front of these people. And that's because differing is evil. Differing is evil. So therefore this one statement, and they mentioned the ayats in the Quran and the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that prohibit us from differing and command us to unite and to congregate and to cooperate upon birr and taqwa. But I'm trying to mention to you a story to show you the attitude of a true scholar of Islam. The attitude of a true alim of Islam. And that is, differing is not a good thing. And sometimes to make a sacrifice or a compromise just to keep the unity and to keep the negativity away is the mark of a true scholar. The mark of a true scholar. So Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he didn't agree with Uthman. And he felt that what he did was wrong. Mukhalif li sunnah, was against the sunnah. But he still did what he did and followed him, etc. And he gave his students, his pupils, a piece of golden advice. And that was, differing is evil. Differing is bad. Everyone understand this? So this should be the general atmosphere and mood of everything that comes afterwards. We should try our best to remove and to minimize our what? Differences. Which, as we explained yesterday, that this is one of the most important and staple characteristics of the what? Not important, but one of the most staple characteristics of the what? Of a human being. Human being. وَلَا يَزَالُونَ مُخْتَلِفِينَ, Allah says. They will always differ. But we're supposed to go against the grain and fight ourselves and to suppress the reasons behind what? Differing. Everybody understand this or not? That's point number one. Point number two is to understand that this is a statement of Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. And it's not the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if it was the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there's a proper understanding of that statement. And that is, every type of difference isn't necessarily a bad type or a negative type or a haram type. But the default is that it's not that good. But there are certain types of difference or differing in which is not يعني اختلاف تضاد or خلاف التضاد, but it's diversity, التنوع, اختلاف التنوع. There's two types of differences of opinion. The first is that which actually clashes, and the second is that which is a means of diversity, and in which there's more than one way of doing it. You can make this supplication, you can say that supplication, you can say a third supplication or a fourth supplication. Ali reported this, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq reported that, Abu Hurairah reported a third, Jabir ibn Samurah reported a fifth. All of them are authentic. When you say Allahu Akbar, you make any supplication that you want to make. That's ikhtilaf at-tanawwu', in which there's nothing but diversity. And if we differ, in Malaysia, this is how we say it. And in Indonesia, we say it like that. And it's both proven through authentic hadith, la bas. That doesn't mean that we can't cooperate with each other and love each other and study and benefit and teach each other. It doesn't mean that. Everyone understand this? But the second type of difference or differing of opinion is that which there isn't too much room to differ in. And our opinions are very, very contrast. Extremely contrast. In which you say that the hands must go beneath the navel. They must go beneath the navel. Not it's best, they have to go beneath the navel. And another person comes and he says that the hands, when you make salat, must go on the torso. Not it's a good thing to do. No, it has to be there. Our statements, our differing is now what? Tadad. There is no harmony between these two. If you pray with your hands on your chest, your prayer is false. If you pray with your hands beneath your navel, your prayer is false. That's no longer a supplication being said or another supplication being said. An optional type of diversity. Now we have a serious clash now. Everyone understand this? We have a serious what? A serious clash. As an example. As a what? As an example. So the first type of differing or differences of opinion, Safwan, come closer. Come closer. Don't be far from the class. The brothers will make a seat for you, inshallah. So the first type of difference of opinion is good or bad? It's good. We implement all of the sunnah. And the second type of difference of opinion is what? Tadad. That's not so good now. But even when we do have that second type of difference of opinion, there is an adab, an etiquette. There's an etiquette. And that is, why are you saying that the hands have to go beneath the navel? And why am I saying that the hands have to go in the chest? You have a hadith to support your view, and I have a hadith to support my view. Just hypothetical examples. Abu Hanifa said this, and Ahmed said that. This companion, he went down like this, on his knees first, and this companion, he went down on his hands first. None of us are making things up out of thin air. We're not doing what? Out of thin air. But we have athar to support this view. But I feel that the hands should go in the chest. And I think that that's the strongest proof, and that's the strongest evidence. I feel that when you go to sujood, do it on your knees first and not your hands. That's the dalil, what companions did. That makes the most sense. Your knees are closer to the ground than your hands, etc. I feel strongly about my opinion. But your opinion about putting the hands down first, or putting the hands beneath the navel, or not wearing the niqab and the gloves, whatever the issue is, isn't coming from what? Thin air. It's based off of something. It's based off of what? Something tangible. It may not be the strongest thing. It may not be the most authentic thing, but it isn't just a made up bid'ah. And which a person just said, just do it like this. Put your hands beneath your navel, and there's nothing to support it. There's nothing what? Nothing to support it. Everyone understand this? Regardless of what's the strongest proof. Regardless of who said it or who didn't say it, but it is based off of what? Something. It's based off of something. Everyone understand this? It's based off of what? Something. So we have to understand that there are different types of differences of opinion. All of them are not the same level and the same sensitivity, or it's not the same level. Tight. Next point is to understand is that the truth is one. There's only one truth. It's only one truth. Whenever we're talking about the second type of difference of opinion, there's only what? One truth. The first type of khilaf, there could be more than one truth, quote unquote. Diversity. The Prophet, when he made the salah, what did he say? What should you say? إني وجهت وجهي للذي فطر السماوات والأرض سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وتبارك. Or should you say اللهم باعد بيني وبين خطاياي وهكذا. That's one thing. That's the first type of khilaf. We're done with that. Now we're talking about the second type of khilaf, and which is a problem. Hands must go under the navel. Hands must go on the chest. There isn't no diversity. So those who say that the hands have to go under the navel, and this is a hypothetical example once more, I say I don't agree with that. And I think that the hadith or the athar or this one is weak. It's weak. It's not true. It doesn't make any sense. The hands under the navel are going to feel like you're praying lazily, you're praying slacked, etc. Holding the hands on the chest, holding your heart, etc. But at the same time, I respect you because you are a scholar and you're following proof. May not be the strongest proof, but it is some type of proof. And there were many great ulama who came before both of us who held that view. And those ulama were more virtuous than us, they were smarter than us, and perhaps they were closer to Allah than we are. So I don't agree with him, but at the same time I do what? I respect him. I invite Sheikh Hanif to my country and my masjid. You're free to teach the people what you want to teach them. Tafaddal. I'm Shafi'i, he's Hanafi. La bats, tafaddal. I graduated from Medina, he graduated from Mecca. Teach the people beneficial information. After his talk, if he said something that I feel is clearly wrong, I say it in a respectful manner. A respectful manner. Sheikh Hanif, he came a long way to visit you. May Allah reward him. So on and so forth. I would like to say we can agree to disagree on this issue. So on and so forth. Jazakallah khairan. Everyone understand this? He invites me to his country, to his masjid. And he knows I have a different fiqh background, or a different hadith background, or whatever the case may be. And he says, give the lecture as you want to give the lecture. Speak as you want to speak. These are my students. They're now asking you questions. I'll sit back and drink tea while they ask you the questions. Respect for me, and I have respect what? for him. Even though there are issues in which we actually what? Differ over. And that is because it isn't a difference of opinion which is just made up. It's something which has some type of what? Basis to it. But at the same time, the correct way of making prayer in this hypothetical issue is only one way. And there aren't two ways. Is one of the two of us who's correct. I'm right, he's wrong. He's right and I'm what? Wrong in this issue. As a hypothetical example. Are we understanding this? So that's another very important point when it comes to differences of opinion among the ulama and how we should behave, is that the truth is going to be one in these types of issues. And what? However, the truth according to who? My view or his view? His way of doing things or my way of doing things? So we differ on what's the truth. And it isn't for any of us to monopolize the truth. I say this is the qawl rajih indi ana. To me, this is what I believe is the correct view. But that doesn't mean that I curse Hanif and I slander him and he's an innovator and he's dal, mudil, and he's don't benefit from him, don't take from him, don't sit with him. That's wrong. And that's what Ibn Mas'ud did not do with Uthman radiallahu anhu. Even though the truth was with who? Ibn Mas'ud, without question. There was only one truth. The Prophet never made 4 rak'ah when he made Hajj. When he was at Mina, he didn't do that. When he led the people there, it was only what? 2 rak'ah. But Uthman radiallahu anhu, from the excuses that the ulama made for him, some of them they say that Uthman was afraid that the Bedouin people and the ignorant people will come and add more fuel to the fire. Because as I said to you, they were already doing what? Criticizing him and spreading rumors about him. So the last thing that they need, or the last thing that he needs, is for them to come and say, look, Salah is only 2 rak'ah. We told you he was a bad leader. Now he's making up things in the deen because these people are Badu, they're nomads. They don't have fiqh and ilm. They've been taught that the prayer, Salatul Dhuhr is what? 4 rak'ah. Now he's making only 2. He didn't need that. And some say that he did that intentionally to show the people and to teach the people and not to have any controversy against him. That's an excuse. Did Ibn Mas'ud agree or not? Who's right and wrong? That's not the point. Is that there was a what? A basis to what he did. And others they say that Uthman radiallahu anhu had a wife in Mecca. He made hijrah with the Prophet ﷺ. He left Mecca to Medina, but he got married in Mecca. Even though he didn't live there permanently, but he married there. And if a man has a wife in a country, then he's no longer musafir. طيب clear Abu Sa'id خير إن شاء الله. طيب moving forward. But moving forward, Ashik, huh? Stay with me, focus. Be mindful of who you're sitting next to. Huh? طيب. Moving forward. Another very important etiquette of difference of opinion is that it is your job to figure out what's correct and what makes the most sense to you. And it is not your place to just take anything conveniently and say, well, there's difference of opinion, so let me just pick this view. The scholars differ, so, it doesn't matter what we do, either of the two. La, you can't say that. You don't do that. That's not how you behave. There are 3 views on the issue, so let's just, take any of them. No. You are responsible for following that which makes the most sense to you. And that goes back to what I said about being sincere and being humble. But you must search for that which is correct. You must search for that which is what? Most correct. And from the ways of searching for that which is most correct, Ahmed, and finding it, is your connection to Allah. How sincere are you? Do you really want to know the truth? Or you just want to do anything that's convenient and fun and it puts you in the crowd with the people? And Allah will protect you, keep you safe, and guide you because of your ikhlas. Because you want the truth in your heart. How many of us say the dua of the Prophet ﷺ that Aisha narrated, that whenever he would go to sleep, he would ask Allah to guide him to the truth. Guide him to that which the people fight and differ over. Because you guide to a straight path. The Hadith in Sahih Muslim. Everyone understand this? The concept of making dua to Allah and being honest with Allah, sincere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another very important point is to have common sense. When it comes to differences of opinion, you have to have common sense. Common sense. An example of common sense let's mention the concept of free mixing. Free mixing. So in the United States of America, I have a friend. This brother, he went to Egypt once. And by any means am I saying that there's something negative or bad with people of knowledge in Egypt. By any means am I saying that. I have many teachers that were Egyptian that I benefit from, and many books I have that I read written by Egyptians. But I'm making a point here. So he went to Egypt, and there was a program that was made for new shahadas, new Muslims, right? And the program was at an esteemed university. I'm not going to mention the name of the university for one reason or another. So they had programs there for Muslims from different countries who spoke different languages. And there was a Sheikh that would come and teach them and explain to them what Islam is and what Islam isn't. And he told me that the professor would come into the classroom, and the very first thing he would talk about now was the correct Aqidah and Arkanul Iman, Arkanul Islam. He would talk about, don't be a Wahhabi. Don't be like this. Don't say this. You don't have to wear this. That's wrong. That's extreme. Don't be like those people. We're not like those people. Islam is easy. Islam is simple. Islam is beautiful. Islam is fun and happiness. That's what Islam is. Not like these people who make Islam harsh and hard. Tight. Which we agree on that. Islam is simplicity and ease. And you should be happy as a Muslim. There's no doubt about that. So as the program was about to end, the week program or whatever, it was about to come to an end, the professor one day, he came to the dorm where the students were staying. And he told the guys, after he saw them in different dorms, separated, he said to the brothers and the sisters, he says, why are you guys separated? Why are the brothers on one total different, and then one dorm, and the sisters in a different dorm? You guys can sit with each other. You have a bed, she has a bed, and they say, it's no problem. This is Wahhabi Islam. This is harsh Islam. Islam is simple. It's nothing wrong. We're all Muslims. We can all be friends. You don't have to have a nasty intent or dirty intention if you sit with a sister and talk with a sister. It's what he said to the students who are new Muslims. So the new Muslim, the brother, he wasn't a scholar. He wasn't a student of knowledge, but he had common sense. And he asked the professor, he said, yeah, Sheikh, we've been here for a week. Where have you been? Where's your wife and your daughter? We don't see them coming to the classes and sitting with us and talking with us, so on and so forth. If you come with your wife and your daughter and you sleep with us in the dorms, then no problem, it's permissible. What did the professor say? He couldn't say anything. He was dumbfounded. And that's because he used common sense against the professor. If it's so permissible and it's such a good thing to mix and everyone be jolly and joyful together, why not bring your family for us to meet them? Where's your daughter? We don't see your daughter sitting with the brothers. We don't see your daughter mixing with the rest of the men. You keep them away. And that's because you know that that is not correct. For men and women to sit, to lay, to sleep with each other, to be with each other, to just have fun with each other, you know that's not right. But you have an agenda and ulterior motive. And he defeated him with what? Common sense. He didn't say, Qala al-Imam al-Bukhari, Qala al-Imam Ahmad. He defeated him with what? Common sense. And the professor had nothing else to say. So a very important point in etiquette of differing is to use your what? Common sense. Use your common sense. Ali radiallahu anhu, he narrated, he says, لو كان الدين بالرأي لكان أسفل الخف أولى بالمسح من أعلاه. If the religion was based off of opinion, if it was based off of common sense, then it would make more sense to wipe the bottom of your leather sock instead of the top of your leather sock. Then that's the famous narration that we always hear all of the time. And the people oftentimes they misuse this narration. First and foremost, this is not the narration of the Prophet ﷺ. It's of Ali radiallahu anhu. It's not the messenger's words. Number two, this statement does not negate the usage of common sense. It does not negate the usage of reasoning and logic. But it proves that the deen is not based off of reasoning and logic. And he means by that the rulings of the deen. If you make 2 rak'ah for dhuhr, 2 rak'ah for asr, 2 rak'ah for isha, why not just make 2 rak'ah for maghrib? But it's not based off of that, because the Prophet didn't legislate that. So Ali is saying if the religion was based off of common sense, the specific details of the religion is what he means. Because of course belief in Allah, there's no doubt, it's common sense. That there's only one creator. You didn't create yourself. That's common sense. That there can't be 2 gods because the universe is in total what? Harmony. That's common sense. Ali is saying if the deen, if the details of the legislation were based off of common sense, then it would make sense to wipe the bottom of your khuf, then the top of your khuf, right? That's the narration in which is famous, and it's authentic narration. But there's an addition to this narration in the Sunan of Abi Dawud that says, وَلَقَدْ رَأَيْتُ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمْ يَمْسَحُ عَلَى He says, indeed, I saw the Messenger of Allah wiping over the top of his hoofs. To prove that I saw the Prophet doing it, that's why it's the rule. Regardless of what seems to make the most what? Common sense. But that does not deny and negate the usage of what? Common sense and intelligence. And one of the most important characteristics of a scholar is aql. You have to be smart. And intelligence is of two types. Two types of intelligence. That which is jibilli and that which is muktasab. Al-dhaka al-jibilli is the God-given intelligence. God-given intelligence. You're naturally smart. It has nothing to do with what you eat, how you study, how you pray. You were born with the genes of intelligence, period. A gift from Allah. And the second type is the muktasab, is the intelligence that is gained. The intelligence which is acquired through reading books, through sitting in classes, through debating, through being taught, through traveling, through experience, وهكذا. Enhancing your intelligence through certain drinks that you drink, certain teas, make the mind clear and sharp and fluid. Certain foods that you eat have certain acids and chemicals in them which release more chemicals in the brain. وهكذا. Everyone understand this? Certain mental exercises that you do and perform. وهكذا. It's muktasab, you earned it. Everyone understand this? You cannot be dumb if you wish to be a student of knowledge. And you cannot be dumb if you wish to be a scholar. And any dawah or dawah movement which is calling and encouraging the people not to think and not to use common sense is not the correct dawah. Abadan, period. No matter what they call it. If it's creating blind following sheep of its people and not critical thought of its people, then that's not from Allah and His Messenger. That's not from Allah and it's not from what? His Messenger. And the Prophet ﷺ, on so many different occasions, he used common sense. And on so many different occasions, he beat people with what? Common sense and logic and reasoning. The young boy came up to the Prophet and he asked to make zina. O Messenger of Allah, allow me to make zina. The companions were upset, they were angry. The Prophet, he said, come close. And he talked to the young man. You want your mother to be taken advantage of? How about your sister? How about your aunt? How about? The young man said, of course not, O Messenger of Allah. He says, then people don't like it for their mothers. People don't like it what? For their sisters. And people don't like it for their daughters. Wahakida. The man, he came to the Prophet and says, O Messenger of Allah, my wife gave birth to a black child. A child with very dark skin. My skin isn't that dark. I.e., she slept with a black man. She slept with someone that's not me. What did the Prophet ﷺ say to the man? He said, do you have camels? He says, yes, I have camels. He says, what color are those camels? He said, they're this color and they're that color. He says, are there camels that have another color? He says, yes, of course there are. Certain camels are brown, some are white, some are black, some are tan, etc. He says, how can this be? He says, لَعَلَّهُ نَزْعَهُ مِنْ إِرْقٍ. He says, perhaps one of his forefathers was a different colored camel and it came out a different color than his parents. He says, then that's the case with your son. لَعَلَّهُ نَزْعَهُ إِرْقٍ. One of your forefathers looked like that and it's in your genes. He defeated the man with what? Common sense and logic. And there are hundreds and hundreds of hadiths like this, in which the Prophet used his intelligence to show the people how to correctly Islamically think. طيب. The next point of Adab al-Khilaf is that difference of the ulama is not a dalil. It's not a proof. It is not a dalil just because the scholars differ. That's not dalil, that's not an evidence. It's not evidence. The most common example of this is that of what we asked about yesterday, covering the hands and the face. Covering the hands and the face. If I ask the sister in the crowd, if I say, why is your face not covered? Why are your hands not covered? Maybe the sister, she'll say, I don't cover my hands and my face because the scholars differ. That's why I don't do it. It's difference of opinion. The scholars' difference of opinion is not what? Dalil. The sister is supposed to say, I don't cover my hands and my face because I was taught that I don't have to. I don't cover my hands and my face because I read the Hadith in which the Prophet says that when a woman reaches maturity, she must cover everything except for this and this. I don't cover my hands and my face because. That's the dalil. Everyone understand this or not? That's the what? That's the proof and the evidence. Now, scenario number 2. The second scenario is, I say to a sister, why are your hands in your face out? Why are you not covered? Cover yourself. You're exposing yourself in front of men. Cover yourself right now. What type of Muslim are you? You come outside, you don't have your hands and your face covered. Astaghfirullah, a'udhu billah, I'm not coming to this place no more. The sister now has the right to say what? No. The scholars differ on the issue, so you cannot talk to me like that. Everyone understand? The scholars what? It's khilaf of the ulama who are bigger and better than you. You cannot criticize me and repudiate me and come down on me. And the ulama who were born and died hundreds of years before you were thought of, Ibn Muneer, they said it's permissible. So you cannot talk to me like that. Because there is what? Khilaf of the ulama. Everyone understand the difference between the two scenarios? Using the khilaf as a dalil and using the khilaf to stop someone from pushing it extreme and criticizing is two different things. Everyone understand my point or not? It's two different what? Two different things. You can't call someone an innovator. The sister is an innovator because she doesn't cover her hands and her face. You're not on the sunnah. You're a deviant because you don't cover. No, you cannot say that. But that doesn't mean that that's your proof for what? Doing it. You understand this? Everybody clear on this or not? And it's an extremely important adab of what? Khilaf. Another important etiquette as well is not to treat issues of khilaf like issues of al-ijma'. There are certain people who deal, and this is a branch of what I just previously mentioned. They use certain things and they deal with certain issues as if the ulama agreed on them. And the ulama clearly differ on those issues. And there are many manifestations of this. And from the manifestations of this is to make a narrow circle of the scholars that you can take from. To make a very narrow circle. Only take from these scholars. And that is because we know that these scholars all unanimously agree on one ruling. And in order for us to control you and to keep you in the service of us, we have to make you feel and believe that there's no other room for any other views or opinions. And anyone who goes against us and who thinks differently, we will behave towards him very violently, very harshly, very mean, very aggressive, and take a very harsh stance against him, as if the problems between us and him is an issue of what? Ijma'. But there's actually what? Clear khilaf of ulama. It's clear difference of opinion. And that goes back to the example that I just previously what? Gave you. Is that there's clear differences of opinion. So how we behave with each other over khilaf is not how we behave with each other over what? Ijma'. وهكذا وهكذا. طيب. Brothers and sisters, there are many other points. And there are many other manifestations with regards to adab al-khilaf or adab al-khilaf. I've given you a few. And bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, these few will lead you in the direction of many others. I'm sure each and every one of you can think of an example of something that happened in your life. Or we went overseas, or a family member, your mother, this one, your neighbor, in which there was a difference of opinion and someone violated one of these rules. And which someone what? Violated one of these basic principles, such as ignorance doesn't dominate knowledge. Everyone understand this? Someone who's ignorant does not win and beat someone who's what? Has the knowledge and the dalil with him, praying in your shoes. If someone doesn't know that the Prophet prayed in his shoes, he doesn't know. He is not to be obeyed and you don't listen to him and you know that the Prophet prayed in his shoes. And he told the people to pray in their shoes. And he encouraged the people to pray in their shoes. If you have the knowledge, you don't submit to someone who what? Lack knowledge. Everyone understand this? وَهَكَذَا. Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best. I ask Allah to remove the differences from the Muslims and to unite us upon the truth. I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to make our hearts soft and kind and merciful to each other, and not to make our hearts hard and harsh against each other. I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to teach us that which will benefit us and to allow us to benefit from that which He teaches us. Wa subhanallah wa subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك جزاكم الله خيرا. If there are any questions from the brothers or the sisters pertaining to the topic or pertaining to other than the topic, then inshallah ta'ala, please feel free to ask. Please feel free to ask if you have any question or comment. Inshallah. Khadir.
With regards to this dedicated student of knowledge, when should he or she have breaks?
Have what?
Breaks, like
A break, okay? During the day or like in your life?
general. Maybe you can mention both.
Question says, when should a dedicated student of knowledge have a break in someone's day or someone's week or year, etc.? And breaks are extremely important. Extremely important. And one of the things that you do on a break is recreation. And when you have recreation, there are two words that you're using. To recreate. To recreate is to recreate. And that means the energy that you spent studying or working or training or practicing, it begins to wane. It begins to fade. You lose focus. Your energy is a little low. So you need to take a break, rest, relax, take your mind off of it, have a little fun to recreate that energy. To recreate that energy. The system has to cool down. And then when it's cool enough, it does what? You crank it back up. But if you continually run and run and run, the motor is going to what? Break down. So a break, recreation is extremely important as a student of knowledge. Extremely important. And the smarter you are as a student of knowledge, and the better advice that you have, and the better teachers that you have, the more you understand this point. Is that you can't study 24/7. And if you study for 24/7 for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days a week, your system eventually will break down. And oftentimes you'll quit and you'll run away from knowledge, as we have seen many brothers doing. As we have seen what? Many brothers doing. When I was in Yemen, I was in the capital city, and a brother from my city, from Philadelphia, he came over, and we were stuck in the capital city. We couldn't go to other parts of Yemen at that time, for one reason or another. The politics, whatever was going on in the country, we were prohibited from leaving the capital and going to centers that were better. In the capital, there was knowledge, alhamdulillah. And there were scholars and students of Sheikh Muqbil there. But there were other places which are far better. But you couldn't go at that time. So one brother, he came from Philadelphia, and he was gung-ho. And he came and he met us, and he started saying, what are you guys doing here? Why aren't you at such and such? Why aren't you going there? You're wasting your time here. Astaghfirullah. As soon as I get ready, I'm going to go, and I'm going to go to the center. So he left. And it was less than a week. He came back to the capital. And he looked like he was about to die. Literally. He was sweating, fever. His body was frail and pale. He looked like he was about to die. I said, what happened to you? He said, oh yeah, I went to such and such place, and it was subhanAllah, it was a bit rough. I didn't know it was that rough. That was the last time I saw that brother up until now. I've never saw him again. And I stayed in Yemen I stayed there for a year. I didn't see him since. I didn't see him come back to Yemen, Medina, or anywhere else. The point or the moral of the story is he was going so hard, and it lasted for a little bit of time, but his energy and his gung-ho-ness and his enthusiasm, his zeal, it faded and it disappeared forever. And it never ever came back because he didn't have the necessary balance, and he didn't understand the purpose of taking your time and gradually jumping into something. Especially if you ain't built like that, as we say. If you ain't built like that, that's not you. You're not that type of person. Stop acting and stop pretending. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, he says, إِنَّ لِكُلِّ عَمَلٍ شِرَّةٍ وَإِنَّ لِكُلِّ شِرَّةٍ فَتْرَةٍ فَمَنْ كَانَتْ فَتْرَتُهُ إِلَى سُنَّتِي فَقَدْ اهْتَدَى وَمَنْ كَانَتْ فَتْرَتُهُ إِلَى غَيْرِ ذَلِكَ فَقَدْ هَلَكَ أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. The Prophet says that every act, إِنَّ لِكُلِّ عَمَلٍ شِرَّةٍ, for every deed that you perform, there is a spark. There's a period of vigor, of energy. And every period or peak of energy, there is a fatra in which it wanes. So at your waning stage, if you're balanced on the sunnah, meaning you're not going as hard as you were, but you're still doing something. In my peak of energy, I'm reading for 20 hours a day and only sleeping 4 hours. Methanin. 18 hours out the day, I'm studying, listening, memorizing, and I only sleep for 6 hours. Eating, I do it while studying. Using the bathroom, I'm listening to a class that's being played outside of the bathroom. There's no time that's not involved in studying. And then when I'm a little sick, or when I have family, or when I have to do something else, I only study for 8 hours out the day. For example, 8 hours out the day. But those whose fatra, their period of waning, ila ghayri dhalika, it's against my sunnah, meaning days go by and I don't study anything. 3 days went by and I didn't pick up a book. 4 days went by and I didn't read anything, I didn't go to any class. Faqad halaka, and you'll be lost, you'll be destroyed. So there is a time in which you go into what we say in America, beast mode. You turn it up, you're studying really, 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 really hard. But you can't keep that up all of the time. And history has taught us that. History has taught us that. Is that when your energy wanes, that's fine. Ride the wave, take a break, have recreation, but what? It doesn't fall beneath nothing, in which you don't pick up a book at all. Are you understand this? So taking a break is important for a student of knowledge. Clearing your mind, walking away from the book that you're trying to memorize. That's a proven technique. You memorize, now you need to get up and walk away from it. Editing a book, which is very tedious and painstaking, now you need to get away from the book and walk away from the book. Sit, take something to drink, go for a walk, do some type of running or jogging, shoot some basketball, punch the heavy bag, whatever. Come back to the book and you'll find that your mind is what? It's fresh now. So it's very important for the student of knowledge to understand this, but not too many breaks. Recreation has to be limited. Not too much recreation, because you only have to recreate the energy but so many times. And obviously, إِنَّمَا الْعِلْمُ بِالتَّعَلُّمِ. You have to learn day by day, day by day, period by period. فَسَالَتْ أَوْدِيَةٌ بِقَدْرِهَا. Allah mentions that valleys flow in their due measure. Valleys flow in their due measure. Not too much, not too little. Wallahu alam. Question says, if after doing research I'm leaning to take the opinion that covering the face is wajib, although I'm still unsure about it, and I am keen to start wearing niqab, but my parents does not allow me to do so, should I obey them? As long as you don't believe that it's mandatory, you don't have to wear it. Even though you're researching it and you're not on the view that it is obligatory, and your parents say don't do it, then perhaps it's best not to. But one may say, perhaps it's best to wear the niqab no matter what. And that's because if it isn't obligatory, it's definitely a good thing to do. And why are your parents telling you not to wear the niqab? What is the harm in wearing the niqab? What is the danger in wearing the niqab? Is it going to cause you to lose your life? Are you going to be attacked? Are you going to be discriminated against? Why can't you wear the niqab? And what type of parents do you have? Parents that are religious, parents that have respect for the deen, parents that want their children to be pious and righteous, or parents that worship the dunya and love the dunya and think that being religious is only cultural. You're dressing like a Saudi, like an Arab. You're not an Arab. You're from Malaysia. We don't wear this. We don't dress like this. That's not from our way. That's not from our culture, etc. Someone who doesn't have the proper vision, or someone who has the proper vision. A father may say, I don't think there's anything wrong with the niqab, but please, as your father, I'll prefer that you wouldn't wear the niqab. It's a huge difference between someone who's narrow-minded and closed-minded and someone who worships the West and the filtered version of Islam that they want to propagate. I would understand it's a difference between the two. At the end of the day, try your best to encourage your parents to understand. Try your best to explain to your parents the virtue of being religious and being pious, and make an example to your parents. If I wear the niqab, Abi or Ummi, will it get me closer to Allah or further from Allah? Ask them a critical question. What do you think, Ummi? You think I'll be closer to Allah or further from Allah? If your parents, inshallah, they have good common sense, they'll say, it gets you closer to Allah. Okay, no problem. So every good deed that I perform, Ummi, you get a piece of. Because you're the one who raised me to be a Muslim. And you're the one who put me in Islamic school. And when you get sick and die, I'm going to be the one to pray for you. And which dua is more likely to be accepted? Someone who's really righteous and striving, or a Muslim that's just doing the basics? Common sense will tell us it's going to be the first. So I don't think it's going to be a parent that wants to reject that. But it depends on the parents, and it depends on you. If you're going to wear the niqab, then make sure you have good behavior. Make sure you have good akhlaq. Make sure that you're a good daughter. Make sure that you're clean and you're neat and you're respectful. Make sure that you leave as few excuses as possible, because people are looking for an excuse. At the end of the day, you tried your best. You were wise. You were diplomatic. You went about it in the right way. And it says, I don't want you to wear the niqab, and you feel that it's obligatory, or you feel that it's recommended, then you must choose. You must choose the deen over your parents. And it doesn't mean that you disrespect your parents. It doesn't mean that you talk nasty to them. It doesn't mean that they're sinners and they're going to the hellfire. You respect them, but in this situation you have to say, Lakum dinukum waliya din. This is what I believe is correct, and this is what I have to do. And father and mother, you are the one who taught me to be independent. You taught me to use my mind. You taught me to be strong and brave. Remember that, Abby? When I was a little girl, and you put me on your back, your shoulders, and I was scared to look over the bridge. You said, no, look, don't be afraid, I'm holding you. You taught me that. And now I'm a manifestation of your teachings. You have to defeat them with what? With wisdom, with aql. You have to outsmart them. Ibrahim said that the big idol broke the smaller idols. You yourself knows that the idols don't do that. And you yourself know that you didn't raise a coward. And you didn't raise an idiot. Well, alhamdulillah. You raised someone to think. And now I'm thinking and I'm trying my best. That's what I would advise with. And make dua for your parents, of course. Make dua for them. Pray for them. Ask Allah to open up their hearts, to expand their minds, and to reward them on your behalf. Question says, it has been said that differences in opinion is a blessing from Allah. Is there any truth to this statement? Yes, there's some truth to it. There's some truth to it. And that depends on what type of difference of opinion it is, as I just explained. The difference of opinion, which is diversity, they're implementing different aspects of the sunnah, alhamdulillah. That's a rahmah. Certain places, certain locations, certain things aren't appropriate for everyone. As far as if you mean for us to fight and to be split up, this person says, my aqidah is Maturidi. And another says, my aqidah is Ash'ari. And a third says, aqidah Ahlul Sunnah, aqidah of the Salaf. I'm Sufi, I'm this, I'm Hanafi, I'm Hanbali, I'm Ismaili, I'm. If you say that that's a mercy to the Muslims, then of course there's no truth to that statement. That's not a mercy to the Muslims. As Allah said, and we quoted the verse several times from the end of Surah Hud, وَلَا يَزَالُونَ مُخْتَلِفِينَ. They would never stop, what? Differing. إِلَّا مَنْ رَحِمَ رَبُّكَ. Except for those whom your Lord has mercy on. So it goes to show you lack of differing is a what? A mercy. And differing is someone that Allah did not have mercy on. So it depends on what you mean by difference. As far as the hadith, اختلاف أمتي رحمة, the difference of my ummah is a mercy, that is a totally weak hadith. It is inauthentic. It's not sahih at all. اختلاف أمتي رحمة, that's not authentic. The Prophet never said that. And that's not even the prophetic style. The Prophet doesn't speak like that. The difference of my opinion is a mercy. That doesn't sound prophetic. The Prophet, he didn't say that. Alayhi salatu wasalam. اختلاف أمتي رحمة. That's not true. Rather, the sunnah, the Prophet ﷺ, in most cases, he warned from differing. And in most cases, or oftentimes, he wouldn't even deal with who was right. But he would try to what? Stop the differing. The Ansar and the Muhajireen, when they had an argument, when they were fighting, the two men were fighting over something. One went to his group, and the second went to his group. Ya lil Muhajirin, Ya lil Ansar. Oh to the Muhajirs, oh to the Ansaris. What did the Prophet say? Did the Prophet say you're right and he's wrong? Did the Prophet say you shouldn't have done it? He didn't say that. He said, Ad-da'wa al-jahiliya wa ana bayna adhurikum da'uha fa innaha muntina. He says, is this the call of jahiliyyah and I'm in your company? Leave it alone because it smells bad. And he never dealt with who was right or who was wrong. So the point I'm trying to make is, the Prophet's main mission in that hadith was to do what? Stop the differing. So that it's not true that mercy is, difference is mercy. But there are certain differences and certain aspects in which it what? It is and it can be a what? A mercy. Wallahu alam. May Allah bless you and your family and increase you in more knowledge and raise your ranks in Jannah. Question, is it wajib to send salutations to the Prophet when his name is being mentioned? Can it be said in the heart? The ulama of Islam, they say that you have to send salams on the Prophet ﷺ at least once in your lifetime. At least once in your lifetime. Based off of the command of the Quran and Kareem. Chapter number 33, Surah Al-Ahzab. At least once. And some of them say that if you do it more than once, then it's recommended. And it is a virtue. He who sends prayers on me, Allah will send prayers upon him 10 times more. Alright? And if you're going to say it, whether it's obligatory or recommended, then it should be said with the tongue and not just with the heart. It should be verbalized. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. If you say it in your heart, it's not the same as saying it with your tongue. If you're in a place in which you can't say it out loud, then that's one thing. If you can say it with your tongue and your heart, how you feel and your emotions and the meaning of sallallahu alayhi wasallam, then of course that's best. Wallahu a'lam. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Question. You mentioned about salah with shoes by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Please elaborate with the dalil. Jazakallahu khairan. As Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhu was asked, أكان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يصلي فينا عليه قال نعم. The hadith is in Sahih Bukhari and others. Did the Prophet used to pray in his sandals? He said yes. Imam al-Tahawi rahimahullah, and it's a very interesting fact, is one of the greatest Hanafi scholars. Alright, he was an early Hanafi scholar and he was considered to be somewhat of a rarity. And that's because he was a Muhaddith. He was one who dealt with Hadith and Athar. Al-Tahawi mentions that the Hadiths that prove that the Prophet prayed in his shoes, he says they're an abundant number. Tawatarat al-naqlu an al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, an abundant number that he prayed in his shoes. And he also prayed without his shoes. He prayed with his shoes and he prayed without his shoes. So therefore, if you want to pray with your shoes on, that's fine. And if you pray with your shoes off, that's also fine. But it is recommended to pray in shoes. As the Messenger of Allah ﷺ told the companions to pray in your shoes, pray in your leather socks. Because the Jews and the Christians, these non-believers, they do not pray like that. I.e., khalifuhum, be different than them. So this shows us, this hadith in Sunan Abi Dawood, is that it's not only permissible to pray in shoes, but it is sometimes recommended to pray in shoes. And the shoes have to be clean, of course, just like your clothes have to be clean. So many people, they're hypocritical. They say, you cannot pray with shoes. A'udhu billah. Don't come in this masjid with shoes. You can't. Why not? Yes, Sheikh. The hadith, no, you don't understand the dalil. Be quiet. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. The fuqaha say that you can't pray in your shoes. Okay, tell me why. Because your shoes are dirty. No problem. But the same faqih or the same imam, he turns around and he says that you don't have to take your pants above your ankle. And it's permissible to have your pants beneath your ankle, and it's not haram. And it's only haram to practice isbal out of khuyala, pride and conceit. Okay, la ba's ya Sheikh. When I go into the bathroom, I walk down the street and my pants are dragging under my shoes. Are my pants no longer what? Are my pants still what? Clean? Or are they what? They're dirty. And that is why people that come into the masjid, they roll up their pants. But the dirt doesn't go anywhere. You're now just rolling up the dirt on your pants and praying with dirt. Make sense or not? You're now doing what now? You're praying with dirty pants and you roll them up. And the hadith that says that the prayer of the musbil is not accepted is a totally weak hadith in the Sunan Abi Dawud. Fi isnadihi rajulun majhul. It's not authentic. So leave off the authentic sunnah and take the da'if hadith and implement it. This is what has happened to the Muslims. Illa man rahima rabbuk. Except for the ones whom your Lord has mercy upon. Unfortunately. So it's permissible to pray in shoes as long as the shoes are clean. And some of the ulama, they say, from the benefits of praying in shoes is that it allows the masjid to remain clean. When people come into the masjid and they don't pray in their shoes, they don't check their shoes. And oftentimes, you put your shoes on the shoe rack inside of the masjid. So the rules are between dirty and filthy shoes. But if you're going to pray in your shoes, the sunnah tells you to do what? فَلْيَنْظُرْ فِيهِمَا. Look at them. So it gives you a heightened state of awareness and cleanliness and hygiene. And that's a benefit. Let alone people stealing your shoes and you're worrying about someone's taking your shoes or you're losing your shoes. And there are many other harms and benefits of not praying in shoes. So the sunnah of the Prophet of Islam is to pray in shoes. The culture of the people of this country, of that country, is not the sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when Musa alayhi salam was told to do, فَخْلَعْنَا عَلَيْكَ, Allah says, take off your shoes because you're in the sacred valley of Tuwa. That's the legislation of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. Musa was told to remove his sandals in that sacred valley. The Prophet was not told to do what? Remove his shoes in the sacred valley. And it states in a hadith if Musa alayhi salam was alive, لَمَا وَسِعَهُ إِلَّا اتِّبَاعِهِ, he would have to follow me. So there's a lot of confusion and a lot of mixing and jumbling when it comes to what? Shoes. Just like there is with regards to niqab and gloves and what do you believe in, there's Allah above the throne. There's a lot of confusion and a lot of ignorance. And that is why it is our job and our duty to learn that which is correct, to practice it ourselves, and to call others to it with gentleness and with wisdom and with patience, step by step, progressively. It's our job, and that's why I say to you young brothers all of the time, Khidr, I say to you Ashiq, to study. We say this to the brothers in New York City, right? Learn, study, benefit yourself, stop talking, remain silent. Don't involve yourself with this and that. You learn and teach the people and guide the people. If Allah takes one person to guidance through your hands, it's better than all material possessions. Red camels are other than red camels. But many people who learn the sunnah and they learn the hadith, they come back to their country, they go too crazy, too fast, too harsh. Anyone who doesn't pray in his shoes is a mubtadi'. You have to pray in your shoes. You're a bid'ah, this, that. And it causes confusion. And these people who have been practicing Islam for all of these years, you come with something they've never ever heard about. They've never ever heard about this. In Canada, I gave the khutbah, and I said in the khutbah about the Prophet ﷺ's intercession. And Ibrahim ﷺ will be asked to make intercession for the people. When they stand in front of Allah and they are afraid and terrified, they will go to Adam, they will go to Nuh, and they will go to Ibrahim. And Ibrahim will say, I lied 3 times. I'm unbefitting of asking Allah for this. Go to someone else. Ibrahim will say that I lied. After the khutbah, I finished the khutbah, an older brother came up to me. Perhaps he was from Egypt, maybe Lebanon, definitely was from the Middle East. And he was very respectful. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh, Jazakallah khairan, barakallahu fiqh, so on. He said, however, I want to give a piece of advice to you, or half question, half advice. He says, you mentioned that Ibrahim said that he lied, and you shouldn't say that. He's Ibrahim alayhi salam, Khalilullah, so on and so forth. I said, Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh, thank you for your advice, but I don't agree with you. And Ibrahim alayhi salam himself said that he lied. And he said, what? Ibrahim? I said, yes. The hadith is in Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, narrated by this companion. He said, oh. He says, I've been to Saudi, I've been to Kuwait, I've been to Egypt, I've been to all of these countries, all of these sheikhs. He says, I never ever heard any of them saying that. I said, Alhamdulillah. Now you heard it today. You got it for free. To go. Delivery. So the point, the moral of the story is what? And hadith is clearly in the Sahihain with that wording. The Kadhibat of Ibrahim. When he said that he was sick. And when he said that the big idol did it. And when he said that she's my what? She's my sister, not wife. Yeah, you are, not a wife. He said she's my what? She's my sister. He lied for the sake of Allah. In actuality, it was an actual lie, as we would say, a white lie, quote unquote. But it was a lie. And he was a humble servant. And he said, I never heard this before. And hadith is in the Sahihain. So if there's someone who speaks Arabic, who's traveled to these countries, what about this old grandmother or this older brother who's never left his village? And the only thing he knows is cultural Islam that's been simple and easy and basic for the past 500, 700 years. And you come back from Yemen or Egypt or South Africa or wherever you go study with a battering ram. And everything that he knows and does is wrong, is bid'ah, is evil, and this is a new proper Islam. No respect, no humility, and no humbleness. What do you think is going to happen? He's going to reject it. And then he's going to warn all of his friends. Anyone dressed like that, don't listen to him. Anyone who has a high thobe, don't take anything from him. Anyone who has a full beard, don't listen to him. Because he disrespected me. And he disrespected the Imam. And now the ball keeps rolling and the people get further and further away from each other. Instead of the brother coming from overseas and he goes to the local Imam, Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh, we studied under you. You taught us. You wrote my letter of recommendation to go to Medina. But as you taught us, the religion is advice. And if you would allow me, Sheikh, as your younger student, to give you some advice, I don't think the Sheikh is going to say no. Fadal, what advice? Sheikh, Jazakallahu khairan. When I was in Medina, we had a teacher and he showed us this, and I read this hadith. Have you ever heard of this hadith, Sheikh? He says, no, I never heard it. Yeah. And maybe he might listen to you. He might respect you. He may empty his cup. And he may not. He may say, no, I disagree. I'm Hanafi, I'm Shafi'i, I'm Maliki. No. He may not agree, that's fine. But he can't say that you disrespected him. And he can't say that you have bad character. I don't agree with him, but he has good character, and most importantly, his knowledge is strong. He quoted the hadith, he gave me the dalil, he gave me the source. And not someone, Sheikh Fulan said. Sheikh said. That's not strength. So call to Allah with wisdom. Billatihi ahsan. With strong knowledge, basira. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, gradually, step by step, piece by piece, things will get better. And if the people don't listen, and they're too stuck in their ways, and they can't change, that's fine. That's fine. Focus on the new generation. Focus on the younger brothers and sisters. Focus on the people that aren't stuck with those old cultural values which are against the deen. Because all culture isn't against the deen. Many things that you do culturally is from the religion. But certain things are clearly what? Against the religion. Without any doubt. No question about that. So it depends on how you do it. It depends on what you say. So don't go fighting over praying in shoes. It's permissible to pray in shoes, no doubt about that. It's the sunnah to pray in shoes if they're clean. There's no question about that. But it doesn't mean that you have to beat the people up for it. And it doesn't mean that you have to do it. And you have to use hikmah, wisdom. You have to use wisdom, and you have to know how to be humble and gradually call to it. But at the end of the day, brothers and sisters, don't think that everyone is just going to accept it. Don't think that. Some people are not going to listen to you no matter how wise you are. And no matter how humble you are. That's fine. La bes. Create your own. Make your own. And if they call on you to do a khutbah, or they ask you a question, or to come to visit their center, then you do that. And they know that you differ on things. They know that your orientation, that's fine. But they're forced to respect you. Because you have good knowledge, and you have good character. Good ilm and what? Good character. And if they don't like you, at least they won't what? Hate you. And if they try to hate you or destroy you, that's fine. Because the deen is Allah's deen. Wallahu ghalibun ala amrihi. Allah is in control, even though most men don't know. Most men don't realize that Allah is in control of everything. Wallahu alam. Allah bless you and your family. We mentioned that one. Next question says, is it acceptable for an aspiring talib ilm to study from books only on a temporary basis while he cannot find lessons taught by scholars upon the sunnah? No, that's not acceptable. As long as there's the internet, then there's scholars upon the sunnah. You can be in your home in Malaysia and can study from someone in South Africa, or someone in Egypt, or someone in this country and that country. The internet, walillahi alhamd, has made things are far and remote to be close and easy and accessible. So there's no excuse. You can listen to the Quran, Hadiths, you can learn Arabic, you can study Sirah, you can study Fiqh, you can study Aqidah from the comfort of your own home, from your smartphone, from your tablet. It's no excuse. It's no excuse. Alright? So studying, a part of studying is sitting with scholars, no doubt. A part of studying is listening. And a part of studying is reading books on your own and memorizing on your own. And you take your questions to the learned person. And you read the book to the learned person. But don't think that all knowledge is acquired at the feet of a scholar. That's wrong. And that's extreme, what many people say. No, there's a great deal of knowledge found in the what? In the library. Like the books that we mentioned to you what? Yesterday. And that's the importance of reading those books. Reading those books, reading those manuals. So it's no excuse. You can learn as long as you have access. If you don't have internet, get the recordings. Someone goes to make Hajj, you send them with a list. Don't bring me Zamzam water. I don't want dates. Don't bring me a prayer rug. Bring me back this CD. Bring me back this DVD. Wahakadha. Assalamu alaikum. How does a student of knowledge have a proper structure for learning and seeking knowledge, and how to organize the notes and lessons learned? We've explained that many times. On Hadith Disciple channel, we have a playlist just for seeking knowledge, in which we've mentioned all of these things. Please go back to that playlist on how to properly seek ilm. And if you wanted one playlist, one as an example, 40 hadith on seeking knowledge, in which I explained the book that I wrote, 40 hadith on seeking knowledge. Alright? Also, the other books that we've explained on seeking ilm. It's all there. But you just got to do what? Go and listen and watch the videos. And there are other videos besides mine, in which the people have explained this in detail. How to systematically organize and structure yourself. What's important is, start off with the proper intention. Proper intention. And the proper intention in seeking knowledge is not necessarily al-ikhlas. It's two different things. Al-ikhlas is one thing, and proper intention is another thing. Sincerity is that ibadah is ilm, and ilm is ibadah. When you seek knowledge, it's like making salah. It's no different. And the proper intention, raf'ul jahli an nafsihi wa an ghayrihi, is to intend to remove ignorance from yourself and ignorance from others. That's the reason of seeking knowledge. Not to seek knowledge as a hobby, but to purify myself from jahl, lack of knowledge. And also take the lack of knowledge from my neighbors and my family and my friends and those who I work around. Everyone understand this? Then after that, get a teacher. Before a book is a teacher. Before a university is a teacher. Find a teacher. If you can't find a teacher, contact someone long distance. Email someone, call someone, go visit someone. It's very possible. If you have to move to another city, then do that. If the teachers are in Kuala Lumpur and you live in Selangor, move, migrate. Go there on the weekend. Go there once a month. Sit with the teacher, knock at his door. Sheikh, I traveled 5 hours to come here. Please give me advice. And ask him his advice or her advice, whoever the teacher may be, all right? Also, start off with memorizing the Quran. And start with learning how to read the Quran properly, which is even before memorizing it. Because many people, they memorize the Quran, but they don't read it properly. Learn the proper qira'ah, the proper tajweed, huh? Insha'Allah. Huh? Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Learn the adhkar of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What you say when you wake up, when you go to sleep, when you eat, when you drink, when you get dressed. And learn the Arabic language. Learn the Arabic language. After that, when you take notes, me personally, I would advise you to record it and also write down. Do both. Or write down certain points, but record everything. Or even better than that is not to record anything, but pay attention in the class. And just watch. Focus. Just look and focus. And then when you leave, you go home, sit down in a quiet room by yourself in a chair and just close your eyes for a second. And repeat the lesson that you heard from your memory. Try it out. May sound a little Sufi or something, or but try it out. Huh? Everybody try it out. Seriously. Start off with a small 10-minute lesson without taking notes. And don't try to memorize the lesson. Just sit. Sit. Don't try to memorize it. Just sit. Then you go by yourself and just try yourself to start the lesson from beginning to what? End. It's going to be a bit difficult in the beginning, but you keep doing it. Then you get 10 minutes to 15 minutes. I guarantee you'll find an effect upon this, and you have the ability to retain information. And then you write down the main points, summarize the main points. Get with your brothers and sisters in a study circle. Compare it and make a booklet of notes. And then scan the notes. Scan them. Don't suffice yourself with paper. Use the technology. Scan them. Make them into a PDF. Upload them. Make them to an archive. And have everything documented. That way you don't have to keep studying the same classes over and over again, but you have what? An assortment of information. وَهَكَذَا وَاللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ. Number 2, how to be consistent in our deeds, like seeking knowledge. How to push ourselves to be disciplined and consistent. And reading the Quran. Reading the stories of the prophets and the messengers. How Nuh alayhi salam did it for 950 years. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he called his people and they disrespected him and they abused him and they called him names. How Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam made dua for his father, and even though his father refused to listen and refused to follow the clear proof that Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam was mentioning. Alright? Read the stories of how the prophets were murdered. They were killed. Read these things. People that were closer to Allah, that went through more. People that had a more special relationship with Allah and they suffered more than you do. And compare yourself. What am I doing? And how am I suffering? How am I struggling? Alright? And read the stories of the people of Hadith. Read the story of Imam Malik. Read the story of this companion and this one who traveled and who went through so much just to hear one Hadith. To learn one narration. Read these stories. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. And most importantly, understand that nothing is done without consistency. There's nothing successful in this world without consistency. Everything is based off of being consistent. Slow and steady wins the race. You have to be consistent. And like I said, read those books, those Kutub Adab Talib, and read those books. Read those books. It says here, as a new student of knowledge, What should one start with first without overwhelming oneself? Like I just mentioned, the Quran. Like I just mentioned, the Arabic language. Like I just mentioned, even more important than that is learning how to be a student of knowledge as far as your mindset. Learning how to make yourself as a student of knowledge. From this day on, I consider myself a student of knowledge. How I dress, how I eat, how I walk, how I talk, marriage or not, whatever I do is all around talabul ilm. And then you start off by going to a teacher and learning how to read the Quran properly. Memorizing the Quran and learning the basics of the Arabic language. And reading those books, as I just said. Staying in those manuals, Overwhelming yourself could be done by the information that you're seeking. Or it could be simple information, but it may be too much or too difficult. And that's the purpose of the teacher. Wallahu alam. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Is it wajib to put water in the nose during wudu? Number 2, what is your opinion about qunut during subh prayer? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. When you make wudu, you should put water in your nose. You should do it. That is the best thing to do. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ did when he made wudu. The Messenger of Allah, when he made wudu, he informed us and he told us and he ordered us to put the water in our noses and in our mouths. So that is what you should do. As far as making the qunut in the morning prayer, then it should only be done if there is something happening to the Muslims. Something that's out of the ordinary. This country was invaded. These non-Muslims, they went into this masjid and they desecrated it, waliyadu billah. And they are oppressing the Muslims in this land. So we make dua to Allah for the Muslims and against those non-Muslims in the prayer of Fajr or other than Fajr. As far as doing it each and every morning, every day, then that should not be done. The qunut in Salat al-Fajr should not be done on a daily basis. It should not be done like that. Wallahu a'lam. Fadl, Ashik.
How important is the night prayer for the seeker of knowledge, and how should one get started?
How important is the night prayer for the seeker of knowledge, and how should one get started? The night prayer is important for the seeker of knowledge because the seeker of knowledge is nothing more than a good Muslim. A good Muslim. The etiquettes of seeking knowledge, or the etiquettes of seeking knowledge, they're the etiquettes of a Muslim. Be truthful, be honest, be on time, be respectful, be humble, be hardworking, be patient. That's nothing more than Islam. That is what Islam is. But you, as a student of knowledge, are supposed to be the best. And you're supposed to be the most elite. You're supposed to be the most patient. You're supposed to be the last person to lose his temper. You're supposed to be the first one there and the last one to leave the class. You're supposed to be the most respectful, the most humble. But those are characteristics of a what? Of a Muslim, a day-to-day Muslim. And from that is making the night prayer for the Muslim. The importance, the virtue, and the excellence of making the prayer at night for the what? Let alone the talab al-ilm. Reason number 2 is that making the prayer at night is a means of revising the Quran. Reviewing the Quran. And we all know what happens when you don't review the Quran. And the Prophet ﷺ, he tells us that the Quran can run away from one of you faster than a camel which is untied. Faster than a camel which is untied. So if you don't practice and review the Quran, you can lose it. And some of the ulama of Islam, they say that forgetting the Quran or being caused to forget the Quran, some of them say that it's a major sin. It's from the major sins. How can this be a major sin, one may say? That's not fair. I'm normally forgetful. I'm a human being. They say you only forget the Quran because of ignoring the Quran. Ignoring it. And not using it and not praying at nighttime. As the Prophet ﷺ complained to Allah in Surah Al-Furqan, that my people, اتَّخَذُوا هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ مَهْجُورًا. They've abandoned this Quran. Alright? So praying at night helps you revise and helps you review what you've previously what? Learned. Last but not least, praying at night is a means of setting a good example for your household and for your family. And you're supposed to be the imam of your household. Also, praying at night is a means of you having an intimate relationship with Allah. And the student of knowledge needs to have the most intimate relationship with Allah for him to have strength and power and ability. Alright? So studying is one thing, and being connected to Allah is another thing. So some ulama, you may see why they're so brave how they know so much, how they speak so much, how everything just comes to them without effort. A part of it is hard work, yes. A part of it is what? It's hard work and review and revision. But a big part of that is their connection with the law. Is their connection with the law, and Allah gives it to them. And Allah blesses them with it. If you call that Sufism or whatever, then so be it. Whatever it is. You understand this? Allah gives His servants gifts. He gives them gifts. And there's no doubt, no matter how much you study and how long you study, there's no way that you can know all of that and say all of that like this, like that. That's something that's above and beyond. And that's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you can't get that unless you have a what? A tight and intimate relationship with Him. And what better time is the time than the night prayer? To speak to Allah and recite Allah's words and ask Him and to beg Him. Wallahu alam. Before we stop, brothers and sisters, the advice with regards to getting married, and the advice with regards to staying married, and the advice with regards to having a happy marriage and a fruitful marriage, which will bear the wisdoms of marriage, of righteous children, of protection from evil and from vice, of peace of mind, of sakina, liyaskuna ilayha. Allah created Hawa from Adam for them to have what? Sakina, serenity with each other. So with that being said, marriage is a blessing for young men and for young women. It's a means of you learning responsibility. And it's a means of you being forced to be responsible. It is a means of you obviously avoiding the haram which surrounds us. Every place and every location, there's some type of call to evil and to vice. Whether it's a naked woman or a naked man. You go to the store to buy clothes. You want to buy some swimming trunks to go to the waterfall. You have to walk by naked men. Just to buy a pair of shorts. Just to buy a shirt, you have to see someone who's naked, half naked, wearing tight, unbefitting clothes. You wish to go to the supermarket to buy some juice or a box of cereal, and there's an uncovered woman. Wherever you go, there's some type of call to fahisha. And of course, it's 10 times worse in the United States. 10 times worse in the United States. Everywhere you go, there's some type of nakedness, some type of call to homosexuality. Something, somehow, some way. There's a rainbow, there's something inviting you to evil. So marriage is a means of protecting yourself and fulfilling your desires in a permissible way. And there's nothing wrong with fulfilling your desires in a permissible way. There's nothing wrong with that. And this is advice that I give to parents. If your son or your daughter says, I want to get married, and you tell them, no, you just want to have intercourse, that's all. You just want to have sex. There's nothing wrong with that. The desire for that is natural. And the desire to do it the halal way is a virtue. And it's something that you should help your son in. Of course, teach him about responsibility. Having a wife is not having a girlfriend. Having a wife is not just about intercourse. Yes, it comes with a responsibility. But he's 19 years old. Are you the wise man that you are now at 50 or 60? Were you always that wise? Of course you weren't. You made mistakes. You made errors. Your father barked at you when you were younger. Your parents told you not to get married, and you didn't listen to them, and you had us. So don't be hypocritical. And help your children get married. Because it's best for your son to get married and to make mistakes. And it's best for your son to get married and not finish his college degree than your son to come home as a fornicator. Or for your daughter to come home as a fornicatress. And for her to bear a child from haram. Or for her to be permanently, mentally scarred because she had an abortion. She killed her child because she knows that she can't bring this child home to her parents. And after that abortion, she'll never ever be the same. You say to your daughter, what's wrong? Why do you look like this? Why aren't you eating the food that we made you? Tell us about college. Why are you so sad and upset? Why are you crying? Why do we find this bottle of pills in your suitcase? Because I had an abortion. And I knew that I couldn't bring the haram baby home. I was forced to kill him because I fell into zina. Because you didn't allow me to get married. What's better? What do you want? So we have to be mindful. Marriage is a virtue. And it isn't a vice. No one is perfect. And since people are perfect before they get married, they're not going to be perfect after they get married. They're humans. We're all flawed. But marriage is going to help you or hurt you. Teach your son responsibility. Teach your daughter responsibility. Teach them a value of taking care of a woman and providing for a woman, yes. But at the same time, encourage them to get married. And that was the advice of the Prophet ﷺ. And when the man said that I would not get married the Prophet said, "Man raghiba an sunnati falaysa minni." You're not from me if you're not upon my sunnah. So that's the advice to the shabab to get married, and that's the advice to the parents to help the shabab get married. Help them be chaste and be pious. All right. Also, grandchildren. Don't you want a grandchild? Don't you want a beautiful son, a beautiful daughter? When's the last time that you picked up a small baby? Your son is grown now. You want a small baby to hold in your arms. Don't you want one? And that only can come from what? From zawaj. That only comes from marriage. And only Allah knows the amount of joy and happiness that comes from a what? From a newborn baby, a grandchild. Some parents, they like their grandchildren better than their own parents. Facts? Sometimes you may have a better relationship with your grandfather than your actual father. The grandfather never said no. He was nice because he's older. He's closer to the grave. He's learned a life of mistake, and now he's trying to do the right thing. He's wise, and he's soft and caring, charismatic. So this comes from zawaj, all right? As far as the brothers who are married, then my first piece of advice, and to the sisters as well, is to fear Allah, ittaqullah. And don't mistreat your wife. Do not disrespect your wife. Don't holler at your wife. Don't threaten your wife with divorce. Don't hit your wife. Don't curse your wife's family. Don't be a tyrant in the household. And you are the imam of the household. You're the imam, the man of the household. There's no need for you to keep saying it. It's already known. And only an insecure man has to keep saying, I am the boss, I am the leader, I am the man. It's known that you're the man already. It's established. Why do you have to say that? You don't have to say that. And this is one of the things that we learn from business management. And one of the most critical mistakes that people make, Muslims they make, they tell the imam, you're an employee. We are the administration, you're just an employee. You're just an imam. We hire you. Does anyone differ on that? No. We know that you own the center and I'm the imam. That's why I have a contract. You don't have to keep saying that. And if the imam is acting unbefitting, and he's acting like an administrator, and he's doing too much, you tell him, you remind him in a way which is not directly saying that he's an employee. You don't have to tell your wife, I'm the husband. You don't have to say those words because they're already established. If you wish to lead a people, then walk behind them. The wise man said. If you wish to lead a people, then do what? Walk behind them. Lead by example. Humble yourself. Don't be a tyrannical husband. And if you're a woman, don't disrespect your husband. And do not be ungrateful to your husband. And do not complain to your husband. And do not be a source of misery and bad news to your husband. And it's one of the most important concepts of politics and the laws of power, is that never be the bearer of bad news to the king. If you're a courtier, you're in the court of the king, never take bad news to the king. No matter what you have to do, force someone else to say it, get someone else to do it, manipulate, you never bring the king bad news. And that's because of psychology. Whenever you enter upon the king or the sultan, he sees your face, he feels happy. Yes, come in. What can I do for you? How are you? And whenever I see your face, oh, bad news. Stress. Our country is at war. There is something that's going to, as soon as I see you, there's what? Negativity. And the same applies to your husband. You do not want your husband to dread coming home. You don't want him to dread picking up his phone. Oh man, let me silence my phone. You don't want that. You want your husband to rush home. You want your husband to see and look every 5 seconds. Did my wife call me? Did she call me? Did she call me? You want your husband, whenever he thinks about you, to think of happiness and peace and serenity and relaxation. And you don't want it to be nagging and stress and complaints and ungratefulness. That's not what you want, sister. That's not what you want. You want your husband to feel good when your name is even thought of. So don't be a complainer. Don't nag. Don't be ungrateful. Appreciate your husband for everything that he does for you, no matter how small it is. And you don't necessarily do it for your husband, but you do it for the Messenger of Allah, who said that women will burn in the fire of hell. And that's because they are ungrateful and they are disrespectful. So never ever look down upon your husband's good treatment. Also, advise your husband. Support your husband. Help him in his endeavors. Give him the courage and the encouragement that he needs. Inspire him. Tell him that he can do it and he can be successful. And I guarantee you, the woman who is behind her husband and she supports her husband, the man will never ever forget her. He'll never forget her. No matter where he goes, no matter where he travels, no matter if he marries 3 other women, he'll never forget the first wife that was there for me when I started my business. The first wife that told me to go overseas. The first wife that told me, you can do it. I support you. The first wife that was there when you were complaining about your mother and the problems with your family, and she was there for you, and she kept your secrets. And she gave you nasiha. So you want to be, inshallah, that magical woman in his life, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And of course, life isn't perfect. Al-kamalu lillah. Perfection is for Allah. But that's the advice that we give to maintain a healthy marriage. And Allah Azza wa Jal surely knows best. Fadl ya Aliyu. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
I've got two things I need to share with you. Number one, he spoke about, Tulab al-ilm or ulama, people should not all the time judge one another or speak bad about one another. There's a nice quote that you gave one time I saw in YouTube, that the people that somebody was speaking ill about you, saying the people that know you won't believe, don't need it.
Allahu Akbar. My enemies don't, my friends don't need it, my enemies what?
Yeah.
Won't believe it.
So I would prefer, all the maybe young talab al-ilm, or people like you, the next time they want to speak about somebody else's, speaking ill about them, not to come up in the, in the media, because it creates some, divisions among the, who should I speak from, who should I listen to.
Clear.
So I would prefer, maybe make it clear to some of us that all the other, people of knowledge they can get information from, and maybe you stop those wars amongst.
Clear. Crystal clear. Tayyib, Jazakallah khair. And the second thing?
And the second thing is, there's a lot of stress now in life. You either want knowledge or you want the dunya. You want a profession. So there's a lot of, you want, this is good, but the world is also good. So if you sink too much into the dunya, you might miss your akhirah. You might miss studies.
Clear.
So which one should you give preference to? Because both are.
Tayyib. Jazakallah khairan for the benefits, Brother Ali. In brief, with the little bit of time that we have left, if there is a difference of opinion between two scholars or two students of knowledge or two da'is, of course it shouldn't always go public, because it can cause confusion and it can cause harm, and it may push the people away from all of the students of knowledge. But sometimes it has to go public. Sometimes it must go public, and it cannot be private. And that's because one has the right to defend his honor, and one has the right to speak up the truth and clarify the truth. And just as you benefited from that video, if I kept it just between me and him, you wouldn't have what? You wouldn't have benefited. That's in brief. Ikhtisar. That's in brief. Of course, there's a harm, and there's also some times in which you have to, depending on the situation. As far as the dunya versus the deen, knowledge versus profession, then the people, they say, which is mightier, the pen or the sword? And they differ. Some people say the pen, some people say the sword. We say in our school of thought that the sword is the pen and the pen is the sword. So seeking knowledge of the deen, seeking knowledge of the dunya, they don't go against each other. You have some of this, you have some of that. Whatever you're more inclined towards, you merge the two. Work is ibadah. I give sadaqah, I give zakah, I take care of my family, I avoid the haram. Studying and teaching, that is my profession, that's my job. That's what I do when I'm in the airport and I'm writing for immigrations. What's your profession? I say imam. So the pen and the sword are what? They're one. There's no such thing as the pen is mightier or the sword is mightier. They're both one. So the deen and the dunya, you do what you need from them, and you make the best out of each situation. Wallahu alam. And that's also in brief. Wa jazakumullahu khairan.